Hello guys, and it is LBK Lizzie K here with the SYWAR, which is So You Want a Review. I told you guys I was going to do reviews on Wattpad, and like I promised, I am here with a bad one. I am reviewing Black Baddies, or actually Black_Baddies, for the Curvy, which is a Bwwm story that has 303,000 reads. It has 13,900 votes, and it has 51 parts to the story, including the introduction. And if you're wondering what that means, it means it's a really popular story. And I think I just said 13.9, but let me actually put a number. So it's 13,961 votes. Boom. So anyway, I'm going to read a little bit off the computer. I'm trying not to have to do this too many times, but here we go. It starts off with, "Why do you love me? I'm fat," I said as I looked down at my feet. "Princess, there's a difference between fat and thick," he said as he grabbed a handful of my behind, which is actually ass. Okay. So this is the summary of the story. Diamond Ryder is a 17-year-old curvy girl. Her past is so messed up that she doesn't consider herself beautiful. She can't even look in the mirror anymore. She has no friends at school, and her best friend is her mom, which is badass. Like, who doesn't want to be best friends with their mother? My mom's my best friend, and trust me, I feel I will never be betrayed because she's my mother. Sam Green is the school's bad boy. Ooh, Sam Green's the bad boy. Oh my God. Sam Green is the school's bad boy. Girls chase after him, but he doesn't really pay any attention to them. Diamond ran into Sam's life, literally. When they came across each other, what will happen? Will Diamond let her guard down and love again? It's not came, it's come when they come around each other. It's really cute, actually. She actually, like, you know how you see some stories on Amazon where they'll have like people who did ARC reviews. And if you don't want to know what an ARC review is, basically some authors on Amazon, especially self-published ones, will go out before their book is published and have people read their book, and those people will then send them their reviews and their opinions, and then they will technically post those opinions on their actual page when they post the book up. So then you can see what people thought prior to actually clicking on the book. And she did a really good job. I must admit, I totally love that she did that, because sometimes a lot of people on Wattpad have a tendency of putting up summaries like "read it" or "just click on it" or "I'm not good at summaries." And I'm just like, well, I'm not good at clicking on stories without summaries. So how about them apples? Table of contents. So it says it has 51 parts, so I'm just gonna look through. Well, okay, so it's 50 because she has one that says "not an update." Nope. Okay, so basically it's 50 chapters because she has one that's not in update. And there's 50 chapters, including the introduction chapter. Cool. Okay. So I've already read the 4 chapters. Like I said, I go through and I just kind of like read certain chapters. So I'm just going to click on the chapter and then I'm just focus on you guys. So the introduction is actually pretty cute. This is for all the girls that have been told that they are not good enough because of their weight. I hope by the end of this book you see how much you're really worth, which is a totally positive message to give out to people, and I absolutely love it. Most people wouldn't, I mean, it's very hard to find books like this. This is why Wattpad is such an interesting community, because you have so many people that can just click and write, and when you have that power and you have that freedom, it makes it far more easier to create compared to Amazon, where it's like you're selling and you have to deal with people with it. A bad comic could ruin your sales, so forth and so on. So the first chapter, I will admit, I was there's a good side and a bad side to the first chapter. So the first chapter starts off with an alarm clock, which if anyone who's watching this is actually a Wattpad person, you know this trope has been definitely talked about 100 times. Do not open with an alarm clock. You shouldn't open an alarm clock. It's been done to death, especially when it comes to new adult fiction, because this book is about a character who is in high school. So basically she opens with an alarm clock. So I was like, okay, all right. I'm going to go through it because I said I was going to read 4 chapters, so it doesn't even matter. As we're going through, she kind of does a thing where basically I like to call monotonous. I wake up, I do this, I did this, I do this, and then I do that. And it's a list, right? But if you're skimming, to you, it'd be like, why is shit so what does this have to do with the story? But then when you're paying attention, you realize that she's slowly revealing the character's mindset about her body, such as she goes into the bathroom, she purposely opens the cabinet mirror thing. I don't have one of those, so I forget the name, but you open it and basically the mirror is the door to the cabinet. Well, she opens it so she doesn't have to look at herself, which I was like, okay, mental checkbox, check. Doesn't want to look at herself. Then after that, you start to go through her stream of consciousness, and she talks about how she doesn't look good. And then she finally goes to the shower, and she doesn't want to look at her body. She goes into the shower, and then she spends only 10 minutes washing herself because she doesn't want to feel her own body. And that's even worse. Like, oh, this character really has a heavy dislike of how she looks. Mind you, if you're thinking about what she looks like, she basically is just really thick. She's thick. I won't say she's thick. She has like hips. She has chest. She's fully developed, even though she's in high school. And a lot of people, and that's a thing in high school, like a lot of girls, especially middle school and high school, will get teased by other girls about being fat when the truth is just that their body has developed. Like I was one of those chicks. I had the top half before a lot of girls had the top half. And you know, it creates jealousy when you look like a woman while others still look like they're 16 years old going through puberty. Snap back. Anyway, so we go through this, and it's a really nice opening. It's a darkish opening because you're learning about her mental state. So for me, the first chapter is total go. Of course, the monotony is kind of like, I get in this, I get that. Now, of course, she explains why that's important, but for me, if I was just like click and just streaming through, I'd be like, oh my gosh, what's the point of this? But I read it, so I don't think that. I know there's a good and a bad side to everything, and that was a good side because I really learned a lot about the female character. We go into the second chapter, and she basically is going to school, and she's talking about how her school is really one of those super technical, it's not technical, but one of those super stereotypical schools where you have your jocks, you have your cheerleaders, you have your nerds. And she didn't go into the gothics and the outcasts, but she's basically saying that this high school is like a high school where everyone is exactly what their uniform says. Mind you, I love them in a uniform, so wink. Anyway, the popular girls hate her, but it's really, from what I'm reading, she's not really hated. She's more like a loner. She's more like a loner in the high school. Like, it's not so much that, oh, I am hated by everyone, but it's more like I'm separating myself from everyone. I don't want attention. I don't want people to look at me. Which, of course, if you have body image issues or think you look bad, you don't want people's attention on you. It's common for people who have issues with their body image to not want people to look at them. Or that some people do want you to look at them, but they'll ask you if they're fat or whatever. As she's going through, she does the most typical crashing of characters, which I mean, for as good as the story is and as many people love the story, I really want a lot of Wattpad authors to try to stop things like having your two characters meet by bumping into each other. I did it. I did this in Three Kings. The main character bumps into the first dude she ends up getting with. She gets with three guys, but one of the dudes she ends up bumping into. But that really is a trope too. And it's not hate, no shade on, no tea on this one. This is just literally, I'm just saying. But she does bump into the main character, which is when everything changes. We go through some Twilight shit. This dude imprints on her. In the second chapter, this dude is like, who are you? What's your name? And I hear the shadow words of own you now. I own you now. Not I'm own you now. What the fuck was that? I own you now is like in the background, but all he said was, what's your name? But you can definitely tell it's imprint time. And this is not a paranormal, by the way. So then we go on, and she basically is like, I'm not telling you my name. Have a good day. And she goes into her class, and then he goes into class. Apparently, in this classroom, if you're late, you get detention right away. I had to be late several times before I even got something. Like, come on, let's be real. But anyway, in this classroom, you get detention if you show up late once. So she walks into the classroom, and he actually has the audacity to break the law, the unspoken law of this high school, by taking a seat by her. And she is like, excuse me, bro, I think you need to be on that side of the street. This is West Side Story. I am the Sharks. You are not. Go over there, okay? Okay, go. But that did not work out. He like kind of has this attitude. He gets a police, right? And then he's like throwing stuff at her like an eraser. And there's a paper. And I guess he's like, the first when I read it, I was like, is this dude really throwing shit at this girl and thinking she's just gonna be like, yes, daddy, I love you too? Or is this dude like trying to get her attention? Well, apparently he throws one paper and she finally turns around and grabs it and opens it. And he's like, you're eating with me. And I'm like, this dude, what is he? How old are you? How old are you, sweetheart? Like, you're just telling this girl what she's going to do. Like, what's wrong with you? What is wrong with you? Go talk to your mother. Anyway, so he's basically imprinted on her. This is some Twilight stuff. And then we go through him being basically, then he finally is like, she goes to lunch. And usually, of course, because she's a loner and she doesn't deal with the plebes, you know, she don't deal with no basic people. She's sitting by herself and eating her lunch. This dude takes a sit by her. Problem is, when you sit by a girl that nobody would expect you to sit by, you bring on the eyes. The freaking eyes. The eyes. The people in high school are like, who is he sitting next to? It's Sam, boo-boo, Sam, this is Brittany. She's like, Sam, so we just gonna sit next to anybody now? You just gonna break rules and stuff? Like, this is royalty and you over there like, I mean, Brittany needs to shut up. But the whole point is, he sits next to her and it's like, she's just kind of like, why are you here? And then he's just sitting there basically bullying and having a conversation. I'm not really gonna get into it because my job is not to tell you what's going on in the story. That's your job, to go read it. Because the link is going to be down below. Down below, okay? So anyway, she goes through all this and then I'm just like, oh snap. So he's talking to her and she rolls his eye. So anyway, I think, hold up. Let me check till I get this messed up. Okay, let's go to chapter 3. Make sure. Okay, I was shook. Okay, this is what shook me. He slammed me softly against the locker with my hands pinned on top of my head and said, you're very lucky you get to see my beautiful face all period. What the fuck? We just slamming people. Yeah. Like, you couldn't even hold hands in my high school. Like, people had an issue with you holding hands. People had an issue with your skirts. Because the old man in the school would try to check little girls. And they were like, nah, you got to get the skirts longer. Like, people have an issue with your shirt. You had to wear, like, I couldn't wear a shirt that had a V because it wasn't going to look appropriate no matter what I did. But this dude just up in the school like, ooh, bam. We just doing all kinds of kadoom stuff. Like, if you don't know what kaboom is, if you like a manga or shoujo manga, you would get it. The guy slamming his hand is akin to that. Because let me tell you, that's a major thing. Men slamming women against walls and stuff. I like it, and I don't really take it. But when you think about it, you're like, what does that make me happy on the inside? Why does my heart go boom? Like, what is that? I don't know. I gotta reassess my mental. But anyway, this guy slams this girl up against the wall, and I'm just like, baby girl. He walks off, and she's just like, what the WTF? Patricia, what just happened here? And Diamond's just like, I don't know. I have no idea, Patricia. I just got slammed and I don't even know what's going on. But he calls her babe, and that kind of annoys me. Babe, baby, like, doll, like stuff like that. I don't know why that bothers me. I think I'm more big on someone taking your name and then making a nickname out of it and then they only use it. I like that, I think. But no shade, no tea, no hate. Do what you want. It's your story. Anyway, so that had me shook. So then we go into chapter 4, which, okay, like some stories don't have me go into chapter 4. I'll tell you that right now. Some stories have me stop at chapter 3 and I'm like, thank God this is over. But I needed to know because the thing is, I hate to say this, there is no background for Sam yet. Like, I kind of know what she knows, but we don't know, like, Sam's schooling. Well, obviously he's still in high school. But, like, we don't know, like, who's his daddy? Like, what's his life? Who's his friends? Like, why is he zeroing in on her? Because this is not a paranormal, but this dude has imprinted on this little baby girl. This thick chick, this Coco. She called her Coco Brown. You know, everyone was upset because if you're a PSD character, the PSD character, I just wish they wouldn't describe their skin color as food. Why are you mad to be honey? Why are you mad to be chocolate? I get it, but I don't get it. Because those are tasty things. Like, I mean, of course you can say her skin was as dark as the opal. or amber, or use all kinds of rock stones and sandy. It was a sandy red color. I mean, you can do that. You can do oak, wood. There's like tons. There's 1,000. By the way, if you really are like struggling to find colors, just go online and look up that color, look up brown, and then look up all the different words for brown. Which you really got to think about it. Are your readers going to really care? Because when I read a book, I typically project what I look like onto the character. So it really doesn't matter. If they write a dark skin character, I'm like, woo, dark skin, yes. But then if she's not dark skin, if she's like brown or whatever, it still doesn't bother me. If it's a black girl, it's a black girl with a black girl with a black girl and a black girl focus. That's what I want, okay? Class. So 4th chapter, I got really shook in this one because she bumps into him again. And I'm just like, ooh, you need to be focused, because if you keep bumping into dudes, they just gonna keep getting imprinted, and you're gonna have a bunch of girlfriends pissed off and a bunch of high school girls trying to come after you. We don't need that. I don't want no cold case 20 years later for you, Diamond, okay? Okay, good. So anyway, we get through. She bumps into him. He's all like, ooh, if you wanted to touch me, or should I just kind of like come to me, because I would just really ride with you, girl. And she's like, ugh, and rolls her eyes, because that is so mature. No, she's high school, so it doesn't really matter. And he's like, grabs her and he's like, did you roll your eyes at me? And she's like, yes, I did. I don't even know if I'm rolling my eyes. I think I'm rolling my head more than my eyes. But she was like, yes, I did. And he was like, but picks this chick up, throws her over his shoulder, and smacks her butt. Wait, did he smack her butt? Maybe I wanted him to smack her butt. Let me check. Start to get kind of like, if you're not talking about your weight, and more so like, there's a way you can talk, a character can talk about a weight where it's not like, we get it, you're fat. But like, and you can't get mad at me because I'm fat. I'm a PHAT baby, all day, every day, thick, all love on me. I'm a cocoa brown. Wait, I think so. I don't know. I'm a brown skin, thick chick. I am totally fine with that. But all I'm saying is, if you're gonna have a character that has a bad idea of her image, I feel like you can't just have her say constantly, I feel bad for someone for carrying me. I would be more, if I remember when I got carried once. I got picked up by a friend, or I jumped on him, something like that. I don't know, we were kind of drunk. But the whole point was, I was like, woo, carry me! It was a whole different conversation. It was a whole different conversation. So I'm just gonna let you know right now, when a big girl gets kicked up, she is thrilled. She don't feel bad for nobody. I don't feel bad for nobody. If you want to pick me up and you can succeed at it, boy, you better get those muscles working. Got it? Okay, good. Moving on. Well, that was fun. It was fun for me too. So anyway, they go into the classroom. The teacher's like, you're late. You should not be here. You will be having attention. And so homeboy's like, excuse me, we aren't late. You left the door locked so we couldn't get in. And then the teacher goes up there and, puts the door's locked. And he's like, oh, okay. And then the guy's like, I locked the door when I was carrying your thick bottom that I want to taste like sugar into the room. I added all that. He didn't really say that. He just basically said he locked the door. He goes, throws a paper at her like, Sky! And knocks into her, and she picks it up, she opens it, and he's like, we're gonna date at 10, and you better be there, sexy girl. And she's like, oh God, I don't want to go, but I guess I will go. And so now we're like, what's going to happen? Is it going to be awesome? Is it going to be good? And you're like, I'm thinking to myself, well, in my experience with high school romances, this is about to be a shitstorm. But we shall see, because I will not be telling you guys what happens. You will have to go read it. So the question is, obviously, would I continue to read this? Would I recommend this to other people? And at the end of the day, this is a complete SYWAR. I would totally recommend this to people. It's funny. It definitely is a high school novel, so don't read it going, I want new adult, I want dark romance. This is a contemporary, I guess it would fall into that category, high school romance novel. It's pretty popular. It's hot right now. The cover is really nice. It has a thick chick on it, really looking good. Black Betty did a really good job. Black_Betty did a really good job. Despite the things I did say that I think, I don't comment on people's grammar, because I feel like There's always Grammarly, there's always editors, there's beta readers. There's a huge source of people who want to practice their English skills, especially with a lot of people graduating with degrees in English. So I don't comment on that. I really comment purely on the story. And I can see why the story has gotten a lot of reads and a lot of reviews, especially because she's diligent in updating. And when you're diligent on updating on Wattpad, you get a lot of followers, you get a lot of attention. So yes, Black Baddie, you are a SYWAR.